minutes. Well, welcome everyone to the April 20th meeting of the Humboldt County Association of Governments Board. This meeting is held in person at the council chambers at Eureka City Hall, and there are options for Zoom and telephonic public comments and participation. At this time, we'll call this meeting to order, and can we get a roll call?
Present.
Here. Here.
Here.
Councilmember Robert Ford and Mayor Cheryl Carter. Councilmember Arroyo.
Here.
Well, half member Arroyo.
Also here.
And pack member Allstrand.
All right. Well, at this time, we will adjourn as the HCOG Board and reconvene as the Policy Advisory Committee. And our first order of business is a presentation on the Great Redwood Trail.
Simone from the State Coastal Conservancy is joining us via Zoom, and she'll be the one giving the presentation.
Thank you.
Hi there. I'm just going to take a moment to share my screen if that's okay. Can everyone see it all right?
Looks great.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you so much for having me here today. My name is Simone Nagin-de-l'Étang, and I am one of the two planners that was hired by the State Coastal Conservancy to work on the Great Redwood Trail. And I'm helping to run the Great Redwood Trail Master Plan. And so we wanted to give you all an update on the project today. And so there we go. So as a little overview, in case any of you aren't familiar, the Great Redwood Trail is envisioned as a 316-mile multi-use rail trail project that connects San Francisco Bay all the way to Humboldt Bay. The trail will follow the former and inactive North Coast Railroad Authority rail line. And the hope is that it will transform the rail corridor into a community asset and also an economic engine for the North Coast. So rail trails are multi-use public paths that are created along former railroad corridors. And this is a model that it's being used around the world. One of the most difficult parts of trail development is to secure the land in the right of way. But by using these inactive rail corridors, you can turn that former transportation asset into a new type of transportation and community asset. And this is being done all over the United States. There are 25,000 miles in the US and 1,000 miles of rail trails in California. And what we know from extensive studies on these rail trails is that they support recreation, economic development, tourism, and even environmental restoration. And particularly, a lot of these benefits can be seen in more rural areas. So how did we get here to this point where we decided to actually make the Great Redwood Trail? In 1998, the Northwestern Pacific Railroad ceased operations. In 2001, the Humboldt Bay Trail feasibility study was completed, and I have that with me here, which I guess is blurred via Zoom. But Humboldt County was an early adopter, and the idea came out of Humboldt County for a trail using this railroad corridor. And so by 2018, Senator McGuire had become the champion of this idea and passed State Bill 1029 to look at the feasibility of turning the corridor into a trail. And in 2021, after the results of those studies were published, the Great Redwood Trail Act was passed, and that transferred the portion of the corridor in Sonoma and Marin counties to SMART, the Sonoma Marin Area Rail Transit, and that will be built as a rail with trail because they are planning on running active passenger rail service there. Then it also transformed the North Coast Railroad Authority. It changed the name and turned it into the Great Redwood Trail Agency, which myself and several of my colleagues at the State Coastal Conservancy are providing interim staffing for as we get this new agency off its feet. And it also required that the corridor be rail banked. And that's a process that we started in 2022 in Humboldt County. That is complete. We won that process with the Surface Transportation Board. It's ongoing further south of Willits. And we also kicked off the master plan last year. And I just wanted to highlight a little bit about our master plan. The project team that we have working on it is pretty large. We have, I think, over 13 consultants. Our prime consultant is Alta, and this is being managed by the Coastal Conservancy and Great Redwood Trail Agency. We have a suite of technical consultants, which are names that I'm sure you all are very aware of, that are working on the master plan side. And for the community engagement side, we are working with local nonprofits to make sure that we are kind of ground truthing our engagement to make sure that we actually hear community voices. And that includes Redwood Community Action Agency and Jen Rice, as well as Rails to Trails, which you all might be familiar with. So the master plan is going to be providing a high-level roadmap on the operations and maintenance of the trail, the kind of conceptual trail design, cultural and natural resource protection, habitat restoration opportunities along the trail, project priorities, and funding sources. And it will only be looking at Mendocino County through Humboldt County because that is the jurisdiction of the Great Redwood Trail Agency. And with the community engagement, we are informing the plan through tribal engagement, in-person and virtual meetings, small group stakeholder meetings, online surveys and websites, as well as being present at community tabling events. And so just to highlight in the schedule, we started late last year with the plan. We are in this, what we're calling the building consensus phase, where we're about to take all these recommendations and bring them back to community members to start getting feedback instead of just listening for ideas. And we're hoping that we'll have a draft plan for review in January of next year. And while I'm here, I wanted to highlight a little bit about Humboldt County, because I thought that might be, of course, of most interest to you. So the trail in the rail line generally follow US 101 along from Larkspur all the way up to Humboldt Bay. That's typically where it lies, but it does offshoot when it hits the Eel River. And this is, I guess, just south of this map here. You can see in Mendocino County off Outlet Creek and Covelo Road, the rail line starts to follow the Eel River and kind of moves away from 101. So from the southern portion of the county, and it skirts a little bit of Trinity County as well, the trail you can see is in red, and it follows along the Eel River. It goes through Alder Point, and then as well as Fort Seward, and then the trail meets back up with 101 right around Humboldt Redwood State Park and Founders Grove. Let's see, there we go. So, and it continues close to 101 around Red Crest. It's still kind of a skirting outside of 101. And then it starts to be almost exactly on 101, pretty close to it. And that's through Rio Del north. And let's see, I guess to highlight a few of the branches, there's the Carlotta branch, which goes out towards Hydesville. This is seen here in red and this kind of little pink portion. And then there's also the Samoa branch, which goes down the peninsula. And of course, the Annie and Mary Trail, or the former A&M Railroad, and that goes all the way out to Blue Lake. This portion, unfortunately, was not rail banked. It had been deemed abandoned by the Surface Transportation Board. So that makes development of the trail there a bit more difficult, but we're, still going to be working on that. And I also wanted to highlight what work to date has happened in Humboldt County, because it's unbelievably impressive, the work that all of the Humboldt County governments have done. So this includes the Annie and Mary Trail Phase 1, that's in downtown Blue Lake, and that is a complete trail. The Annie and Mary Connectivity Project, which is a Phase 2 of the Annie and Mary project that the city of Arcata is working on, is funded and will be, I believe that they're starting construction. It would be next year, if I'm not mistaken, but it is funded by ATP. The Arcata Rail Trail section, which is already complete. The Humboldt Bay Trail South project, which will be groundbreaking next month and should hopefully be constructed this year and next year. And that is funded through construction. The Eureka Waterfront and the Hickshari Trail, those are all complete. The Elk River Estuary Trail Extension, this an awesome project by the city of Eureka, that is complete and was opened, I guess now a few months ago. And even the Eureka to College of the Redwoods section of the trail, the county got a Caltrans Sustainable Communities grant to fund the study for this. So this is being studied right now. And this doesn't include the fun kind of what I would call a guerrilla portion of the trail in Fortuna, where gravel was poured on the tracks and you can walk it today. And that was, I believe, by the River Life Foundation. So there are a lot of parts of the trail ready to enjoy and already being enjoyed in Humboldt County that we're learning from and trying to take those lessons learned to other parts of the corridor. So I also wanted to highlight a couple things that we're hearing from Humboldt residents so far. And particularly, this was at our meeting that we hosted in Fortuna last month. And, the top concerns are things that we hear from trails all the time and from public access projects. People are concerned about trespassing and security, fire hazards. Encampments is a big concern. Even in rural areas, folks are concerned about encampments and and then also the potential impact on working lands. And so these are all things that our team we are interviewing CAL FIRE. We're trying to work with the different police departments. We're hoping to really meaningfully address these and come up with solutions to, mitigate any impacts and to reduce any concerns. I also want to highlight the opportunities. And a lot of people see this as a trail that's really giving access to the river. The trail follows the Russian River, the Eel River, Van Dusen, and the Mad River, and people would love to have more access points. So those are things that we really want to figure out how we can provide with this trail. We're also looking at how we can provide neighborhood connections to not just use the trail north-south, but to connect east-west, and what type of economic development opportunities may exist. And to highlight those, I think that the economic engine portion of this trail, people are really excited about this. And we did complete, as part of the master plan, an economic benefits study. And I wanted to highlight some results and just kind of share those with you. That our estimates from looking at kind of similar trails and estimating what the usage would be that a complete Great Redwood Trail in Mendocino, Trinity, and Humboldt counties would generate over $100 million annually for the economy. And we see a large portion of that coming from tourism, from outside recreational users, even though they would make up I think it's only about 30% of the total users estimated. Most of the use would be from local residents who are enjoying their backyard trail, but this benefit would come from tourism, from the trail. We're also seeing that a lot of the benefits could come from reduced healthcare costs, from having these active transportation opportunities available, as well as reduced greenhouse gas emissions, reduced household vehicle costs. And to highlight, that's for the total trail, but in Humboldt County alone, that's about half of those benefits. So $50 million just about is what we're estimating and what our report looked at. And so this is available online, and we'd love to share it with you all. And I just want to highlight that we did look at not just the counties, but also some of the cities. And I'll give a little shout out here to Rio Del. We did do an estimate of what a complete trail could mean to the economy in each of the cities in Humboldt County as well that the trail travels through. And so here's our example of from Rio Del, an estimated $2.4 million annually from a complete trail. And so just to wrap it up, I wanted to share some other ways to get engaged with the public. We finished our first round of community meetings, and the next round will be in July, late July and early August. So our next meeting will be in Alder Point. We're trying to focus on getting voices heard especially from residents around the Eel River Canyon. And then we will also be hosting a companion online workshop the beginning of August. In conjunction with that, we have our team members tabling at community events, including, I guess, Godwood Days happened last week, but the Eureka 4th of July Festival, the Fortuna Rodeo, and the Humboldt County Fair are some of the events we'll be at. Those are, I'm highlighting the Humboldt ones, but we have a lot of Mendocino County events as well. And then at any point, there's lots of ways for folks to get engaged, for the public to leave comments on our website, check out our interactive map of the trail, call us, email us, join up for our newsletter, and that can all happen at the greatredwoodtrailplan.org. And then furthermore, I wanted to just take a moment to share the contacts for the project. I'm the contact for Humboldt County, as is Jen Rice, who is one of our consultants, and Carol Vandermeer. And so with that, I will say thank you so much and ask for any questions.
Thank you. Is there any questions or comments from the board? Supervisor.
Thank you, Simone. Good to see you again. We had a board meeting down in Healdsburg earlier today, so had the pleasure of seeing Simone twice today. I also want you to consider myself as a resource for this board. I've been involved with this for a long, long time, and Humboldt has really got a running start on things because we started this process some 25, 30 years ago. Some of the southern counties are a little jealous that they think we're getting this all at once. No, it took a long time. City of Eureka has been working on projects, Blue Lake, Annie and Mary folks, and others. And so if I can be of any assistance, I'm the vice chair of the Great Redwood Trail Agency and be happy to answer any questions or offer any feedback that you might be able to have into the process. So thank you.
Thank you. Any Mary Trail comments, maybe?
We'll make a comment. Yeah. As mayor of Blue Lake, I just want to say that even though it's a short trail, it's really being used by our citizens, from bicyclists to strollers and mothers and children and horses even. Not as often, but it's been a real boon for our town, I think. And it's just a short section, but I'm always amazed to see how well it's used. Children coming home from school are using it rather than attempting the streets. And our Annie and Mary Rail Trail group has been very, very active for years. I think 20 to 30 years. We've had numerous fundraisers, and thanks to them, we've really gotten it going for the little town of Blue Lake. So I appreciate this, and let's continue onward.
Thank you. And PAC member Arroyo.
Thank you. I got really inspired recently by something that I just wanted to float that I forgot to mention in our discussion previously, Simone, so I thought I'd say it here. And it does have to do with transit, but I do want to note that our board hasn't talked about this idea yet, but I'm really passionate about it and want to bring it up. And I would love thoughts from the group on working together on this down the line, because it's sort of a passion of mine. So I do have a friend who used to live in Humboldt and now lives in Oregon, and was doing a personal, just a project that was exciting to her, and it really got legs and has become kind of a bigger thing, to identify places where people can hike and recreate and picnic and go on adventures where they can access those points from transit. So I got excited about the idea of doing that here, of creating some resources. I know Cal Poly Humboldt has done a little bit of work to help share information about where students can go to have fun in the outdoors, because these tend to be sort of closely guarded secrets for people here. And while I understand, because I have my own secret spots for mushrooming and such, I also know that that can be less than welcoming for people. And so just adding that extra layer of information and welcome for folks is something that I'm excited about pursuing. And so I do want to bring this up to our board, but I also wanted to float it here that, identifying places that you can get off the bus and get right to a trail, particularly the Great Redwood Trail, is something that I want to explore more.
Thank you. Another good idea for info for folks. Any other? I know that I've seen a lot of people on the north part of the Bay Trail. There's always somebody walking along that section along the bay between Braycut and Arcata. And I've been down south, had to go to some meetings in Ukiah, and there's a section in Ukiah that's completed, and it's pretty interesting and nice. They're working in there. They're trying to get some tourist type things along there, and it's just not too far off State Street too. So, but thank you very much for all this information, and I look forward to seeing more things happening.
Thank you so much for the time today.
Okay. Yes.
I wanted to invite Cheryl Kelly up here, and I can sit down here. There's an extra chair. And welcome Robert to the meeting. Thank you. I'll just put Cheryl here. Come on up, Cheryl, and I'll take a seat right over here if that's okay with everybody. Great. She's representing Trinidad.
And Chair Johnson, it looks like you have a hand up in Zoom. I'm not sure if you saw that.
Oh, thank you. And it looks,
Sure.
LaTanya, would like to make public comment. Welcome.
Hi. Now or wait?
Yes, now.
Oh, okay. I was just wondering about the trail. Are there pictures of the different parts of the trail? I saw some pictures, and I saw one of the when Senator McGuire had he had a meeting that discussed the trail, and he showed pictures of the trail. One of the concerns I saw was there's a remote area, and they wanted to make sure that the trail did not interrupt the wildlife around the trail. So I'm just wondering do you have pictures all along the trail? It sounds like a good idea, but I just wanted to see how did you conquer or address the areas where there is the remote areas?
Well, there's areas that are still under construction. The majority of the trail is not completed yet, and much of it, the right-of-way hasn't been cleared. Simone, would you like to weigh in?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much for the question, LaTanya. We do have some photos of the trail, but I think we could do a better job at publishing those. We have part of our master plan is getting someone to go out and take photos and kind of take some drone photos of it. So we'll do a better job of getting those on our website. You can see some on our website and some in the feasibility studies. I will also mention in regards to making sure that we're respecting wildlife. What we're hearing is that, and what we also believe is that it's very important the railroad has left a lot of legacy issues with damaging the habitat, especially in the Eel River Canyon. And a part of this master plan is looking at what projects we can do to restore fish passage, restore salmon habitat, and restore, enhance wildlife, enhance habitat. And you can see that on a great example is in the city of Eureka, the Elk River Estuary Project that built a mile of the trail, but also restored a large swath of estuary for the Elk River. And we're looking to do projects like that and implement those along the line. So we're working with California Department of Fish and Wildlife and a lot of the other kind of natural resource agencies to see what we can do. And that's a classic what the State Coastal Conservancy does. It works on public access projects, but also really restoring the environment while we're doing that public access. So I really appreciate the comment, and I'll work to see if we can get more photos online. But we are hoping to do that to kind of meet both those needs.
Thank you. And I believe we have another comment with Jim.
I had more questions.
Oh, go ahead, LaTanya.
The trail, will it be well lit? I think it's a great idea to have a trail that goes from San Francisco Bay to Eureka. I think it's great. I really do. But the trail, is it going to be well lit?
So we know in portions like the city of Ukiah, they have lighting all along the trail. So that's maybe something that we'll be looking at. It's something people have, it's something that we'll kind of figure out in the master plan. So these are great comments that in feedback I can provide our team. But some portions of it are going to be a real backcountry trail. They won't be like the paved rail trail because that just really won't necessarily make sense. So in the more remote portions, it will be kind of a classic, single track, skinny trail that people, I don't think anyone's going to be trying to walk on at night. So we are looking at different trail types for different situations.
And could you
Will it be monitored?
just a moment, LaTanya. I'm trying to get you the website so that you can weigh in on the website, because I believe that almost all your questions would be better answered on there. If Simone could read off the web address again.
Yeah, our website is greatredwoodtrailplan.org, or if you Google the Great Redwood Trail, it should come up as the second website, but it's the greatredwoodtrailplan.org. Thank you so much.
And thank you. And we have to move along right now, LaTanya. I believe Jim has been waiting patiently there.
Hi, supervisors, and hello, Simone. This is Jim Becker. We're familiar. I've talked to you before, and I was just going to put a pitch out there since for some viewing of the trail. It's pretty limited. It's literally just from Samoa Boulevard to Alliance Road on the L Street Trail for the arcadalinearpark.org. That's the petition to get the L Street designated as a linear park. But anyway, there are photos up there, and it might be a start for some pictorials, just to give you some little snapshots, and maybe more people could duplicate that in other areas as a potential. But anyway, I thought I'd just put that out there as a pitch. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I believe that's it for now, and we will move on to our next section, a Bike Month proclamation that we will read into the record, and I believe Stevie's got some update on bikes activities in the month of May. The proclamation of the Humboldt County Association of Governments Board of Directors recognizing May 2023 as Humboldt Bike Month. And whereas bicycling is part of the solution for addressing transportation needs, such as increasing mobility for youth and other people who do not drive, providing low-cost transportation options, and increasing access and connectivity while reducing traffic congestion. And whereas bicycle infrastructure takes up less land and costs less to build and maintain than automobile infrastructure, for instance, 12 bike spaces fit into one car parking space, and whereas bicycling is an economic driver in areas with commuter or recreational bike facilities. Study after study shows that locally based retail sales go up with bicycle improvements and that people spend more money overall at local businesses when they bike than when they drive. And whereas bicycle travel helps improve air quality, can help us achieve the goals of the Global Warming Solution Act of 2006, which requires Californians to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions by 80% by 2050. And whereas bicycle commuting promotes physical activity, which leads to better fitness and lower health care costs, and improve mental health due to stress reduction, employees who commute by bicycle on average have fewer sick days and higher productivity. And whereas the Humboldt County Association of Governments supports bicycle and pedestrian planning as a regional transportation priority and has adopted safe and sustainable transportation targets to double the number of all trips made by walking, bicycling, and transit. And whereas HCOG supports member jurisdictions in their efforts to further regional bicycle infrastructure, and whereas the month of May is National Bike Month, which promotes the bicycle as a means of transportation and recreation, and May is also Clean Air Month, which supports air quality. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of the Humboldt County Association of Governments, number one, finds increasing bicycle use is the local, state, national, and global interest, and proclaims May 23rd, 2023 as Humboldt Bike Month, and encourages member jurisdictions to adopt similar proclamations supporting Bike Month, and urges citizens to participate in these and other activities that contribute to the health and vitality of the community and the environment. And at this time, I believe Stevie has some information for us.
Thank you, Chair Johnson. Stevie Luther, HCOG Associate Planner. And yeah, we have a lot of events going on for Bike Month coming up in May. So May 11th on Thursday will be Bike to Work Day in Arcata, and that will start with the Energizer station at the Arcata Co-op store from 7 to 9:30, followed by a noon rally at the plaza. And then Thursday, May 18th is Bike to Work Day in Eureka, which will have another Co-op Energizer station at the Eureka store. There are two youth bike rodeos. There's one in Fortuna at Newburgh Park on Saturday, May 13th from 10 to 1. And then there's another one in Arcata on Saturday, May 20th. Then our big event on Saturday, May 20th, also from 11 to 2 at the Jefferson Community Center in Eureka. We will be having the bicycle celebration and expo. So it'll be a really fun, free, family-friendly event with a lot of different groups tabling and some e-bikes on display that you can try out, a pedal-powered music stage. So really encourage everybody to come to that Saturday event. And then there are numerous opportunities to join bike challenges throughout the entire month. You can join the Bike Month Humboldt Club on the Strava app, where you can track your miles. And we are also doing a bike commuter challenge through social media, where we're using the hashtag Bike Month Humboldt 23, and folks can share their pictures online. So all this information and more is on bikemonthhumboldt.org, and that will have all these events laid out. And we're also asking people this year to take the Pledge to Pedal, where you can select each one of these events and take a pledge that you'll attend it and encourage others to. So it'd be great to have our board members do that and show your support for cycling. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any comment? Public comment? Don't see any. Well, this is an opportunity to get off our seats in our cars and get some exercise and pedal.
Chair Johnson, are you mayor or mayor pro tem?
Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, I think maybe that should be changed on the proclamation, just for accuracy.
Yes. And at this time, we will enter the public comment period. If anyone has a public comment that they'd like to make on items that are not on the agenda. I don't see any. Oh, there's a hand up for LaTanya. Okay, thank you, LaTanya.
Okay, the comment, I didn't see specifically this on the agenda. I was at a meeting that dealt with the Sunday bus route schedule, and I noticed that Arcata, Real Dell, and Fortuna were mentioned in the agenda for today's meeting. And I was wondering, is it going to be looked at or discussed sometime about extending the Sunday schedule to the route for the Sunday schedule for the regional bus to include Fortuna and Rio Dell, as well as Trinidad, or that is just, the route is pretty much set?
I can help maybe. So at the TAC meeting we had this month, the SS TAC meeting, we had the unmet transit needs. I believe that's the hearing LaTanya's mentioning. The unmet transit needs, the report of findings on that is coming before your board next month. So you will hear more about unmet needs and the findings related to that at that time.
Okay, thank you. Did you get that, LaTanya?
Yes, I got it. One thing I didn't, that's not on the agenda that I wanted to know, will those places, Fortuna and Real Dell, have a transit system similar to Eureka, Arcata, and the regional bus? Instead of, they have like a shuttle bus versus the actual transit bus. And I was looking at the figures for those different towns, and I didn't, because each town gets a portion of funds for their transit system. And so I'm just wondering if their transit system will actually consist of a transit bus versus a parking, a shuttle bus type thing. And is it because they don't have that now because they don't have a need for it, or it's just in the early stage of the development? Those are just a question I had, because it would be nice to see more of Fortuna other than what you see on the regional bus.
Oh.
There's so much more to Humboldt County that you can that needs to be seen, and I would like, what are the best way to see it is on the bus.
Chair Johnson, may I briefly respond?
Yes.
On behalf of Humboldt Transit Authority. So,
Yes.
LaTanya, I will gladly bring those matters up at our next Humboldt Transit Authority meeting. And then, as our director said, we'll have another chance to talk about this in detail next month. But I'll happily take that to the HTA board. We do know that people do want more extensive service on the weekends. And we're well aware of that need, and striving to figure out how to provide that service. So I know we can't talk about it in detail here because it's not on the agenda, but I will happily take those items to the discussion at the next Humboldt Transit Authority meeting, okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. And I believe that's the last public comment we have for that. At this time, we come to the consent calendar. We have, I believe it's 6 items here. Approval of the meeting record, the Blue Lake LTF claim, the County of Humboldt, City of Riadell, City of Fortuna, LTF claims, the STA and State of Good Repair resolution, a fiscal year overall work plan amendment, and approval of the Humboldt Transit Authority, City of Arcata, and County of Humboldt, and HGOG regarding dial-a-ride service. Does anybody have anything they wish to pull? Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion for acceptance of the consent calendar.
Move approval of consent calendar.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Can we get a roll call? Okay. Okay. In this case, we will move to.
We should have a voice vote.
Oh, voice vote?
Yes.
Okay.
Anybody opposed?
Well, all in favor of accepting the consent calendar, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, we accept the consent calendar. And we have no items removed from the consent calendar, so we'll move to our action item, the fiscal year 23-24 overall work plan.
Great, thank you. This is Beth Burks, Executive Director of HCOG. I'll be giving this staff report. So in preparation of fiscal year 23-24, which is going to start July 1, our overall work program is due to Caltrans on May 12th. The overall work program before you today is essentially the same version that your board approved a draft of back in February. The changes are described in your staff report. Mainly, they've been made to address Caltrans comments, which were fairly minor, mainly just asking for more detail in our scheduling. So you'll see in track changes in the document that in all the work element tables, we tended to make updates to the scheduling to address the Caltrans comments. The one other change we made that was not a result of Caltrans comments was removing a task from work element 13, which is the active transportation and safety work element. The task was for a level of traffic stress analysis. We've actually applied for a grant for this work. We'll be finding out the outcome of that application in August. So if the grant is awarded, we will actually amend the overall work program, make a new work element that will be completely grant funded. So we're waiting for the outcome of that, so we'll just take that task off the list until then. So other than that, there's really no significant changes, as I mentioned, from what your board saw last time, and the recommendation is to approve the OWP so that the staff can transmit it to Caltrans. Thanks.
Well, thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Beth? Any comment? Any public comment on this item? See none. We've looked at this before. We just haven't seen the amended version and final draft till today. We'll entertain a motion for.
I move adoption of the Humboldt County Association of Governments Resolution 23-15, approving the overall work program and budget for fiscal year 2023-24.
I'll second.
So we have a motion and a second. And this will require a voice vote, one for the resolution. Not a voice vote, but a roll call vote. Oh, well, great. So we'll take, it's a lot quicker. Thank you for that. So at this time, we have a motion and a second, and we'll adopt this by voice vote, signal by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? None. So with this, we will adjourn as the HCOG board by motion and reconvene to adopt these policies. Get a motion for that?
Motion to adjourn and reconvene as the HCOG board.
Adeline Jones seconds.
And we'll do this all together to adopt this by voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? And seeing none, So we come to the revised personnel policies and another resolution.
Thank you. This is really a simple update to the personnel procedures or policies and procedures. It's really to make it consistent with the OWP, the overall work program that was just adopted. With that, we have changed the full-time classification of HCOG employees to be a 34-hour employee. So we needed to track that through the personnel policy. So that is what the changes before you are. And so it's mainly just declaring that and the associated updates to have consistency throughout the document.
Okay, thank you. Is there any questions or comments for our executive director? Okay, well, we'll consider making motion to adopt resolution.
I'll move to approve Resolution 2316 and the revisions to the policy manual.
Second.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and we will adopt by voice vote. So all in favor?
Aye.
Oh.
Aye.
Oh, you didn't. Okay.
Yes, public comment.
I'm sorry, I will refrain from making a public comment, and I will speak with Mrs. Beth Burks privately about this.
All right, thank you. And there's no more public comment. So, all right, we have a motion and a second. We'll adopt by voice vote. Signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Thank you. And now we come to the HCOG staff and PAC member reports, starting with our executive director's report.
Thank you. I have a few updates tonight. So first of all, I wanted to introduce Amy Eberwein. She is our new Administrative Services Officer. As I mentioned last month, we were mid-recruitment and we have made our selection. She's been with us. I think this is her third week. She's doing great. She comes to us with over 8 years of experience in office management and accounts payable, receivable, and general bookkeeping. So it's really a perfect fit for the position. She has worked locally with nonprofits and also in local government. So we're very happy to have her. She's catching on quickly. She is training now to start clerking these meetings. So, you may see emails from her, requesting if you're going to be at meetings, respond to her just as you would to Debbie. And, she'll get up to speed in no time. So I did want to mention that. So, first, welcome. Thank you. And then we don't have any CHP statistics for the supplemental patrols this month. They haven't got those over to us. So we'll report out for 2 months worth next month. But I did want to mention that we continue to make progress on our call box encroachment permit, and we hope to see those boxes being installed this summer. And as a reminder, that's 24 new boxes, primarily on highways 36, 96, and I believe one is going on Bald Hills Road. And then also wanted to mention that we have selected a consultant for our website redesign. We've selected Accelerant Consulting, and they're a local consultant. They actually did our website over, I think it was 10 years ago. So it's time for an update, but we're excited. We had a really competitive process, and so we're glad to have made the choice, and they'll get started, and we'll be seeing a refreshed, more modern HCOG website soon to come, so we'll keep you updated on that. It should not change the links or the website name or address or anything like that. We'll just make it look a little more modern, also with a focus on accessibility features to make sure that it's as inclusive as possible. And also, there is a lot of progress and activity in the last couple months related to the offshore wind community benefits network. So we're working with that, especially related to the port development side of that. And so next month, I'll be coming with a full board report to let you all know where that process is at. If you'll I guess it may have been sometime last year, so many of you may not have been here, but we agreed to, be part of that community benefits network and sit through those discussions and negotiations. So we continue to do that, but before we make any formal agreements, we'll be bringing that back to the board for consideration. So we'll start with that next month. So just wanted to prep. I don't believe we have anyone from Caltrans here this evening to give a Caltrans update, but I did want to mention that we do have, I am working with Caltrans staff on the groundbreaking ceremony for the Indianola Undercrossing project, and that will be scheduled for sometime in June. So coming right up. I'll keep you all informed about the dates for that, and we're working on sort of the list of speakers and all of the formalities that go with that. But long time coming, and glad we'll be breaking ground. And then finally, included with your packets and emailed out was the board orientation manual, and really I think that's just good for, we have a lot of new board members, a lot of new alternates, but also for folks who have been here, board members who have been here a long time, just kind of a good refresher. And with that, I also just wanted to mention that, staff is always here to answer questions. If you have any questions about your board packets, you need any help, even if it's not related to the board packet, you just have questions about what HCOG is up to, please reach out. We're happy to take your calls and emails and get back to you as soon as we can with information. So I think that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks for your work on all these myriad of projects. It never ends. Always something happening. And PAC member Arroyo, did you have anything you wanted to bring in?
I don't think I have a report at this time, which is a rarity, but but I'm excited for this resource, actually, the board orientation handbook. It's possible that we had one before and I just didn't save it, but I find it really helpful to have all the TAC members' names in particular and contact information, because I often have questions for folks in that group. So thank you for making that available.
Great. And I will say we actually have a slight update already. So we for those of you who had hard copies, we have a replacement page, and then we'll send out the new version with the updates. So that's the only challenge with the roster in there. It's constantly changing, but I think it's still worthwhile. So thanks for that. Thanks for the reminder.
All right. Well, thank you. And
Mr. Chair,
yes,
if you're coming to the end of the agenda, or when you are, if I could just make one brief comment, please.
there.
I thought so I thought I'd better speak up. Thank you. I just wanted everybody to know that we have the Humboldt Bay Trail South groundbreaking ceremony happening on May 17th at 1 p.m. out at the Brainerd site, which is California Redwood Company site there. It's been closed for a while. But anyway, it's at 1 o'clock, and please join us if you can.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other? No? Seeing none?
Chair, I would, as a new board member, I did review the orientation manual and found it very easy to understand and appreciated that. So thank you to those who worked on it. And I would also, we have no Caltrans rep, but just for the record, when you hold a town hall, you never know what you might get. And Caltrans did hold a town hall in Ferndale after our earthquake on Fernbridge. And I just want to comment that it was very well done. They anticipated concerns. They were very professional. And I think a packed house went home satisfied that we had very competent people working on our bridge. So thank you.
Thank you. They did do a remarkable job down there.
They did.
Kept things moving, and so if there's no other matters, we will be adjourned. Thank you all, and we'll see you next month.